Let's start data sufficiency. When we talk about data sufficiency, many people fear this topic as a very hard topic, but we can't say that this is a topic itself, but it is just a types of question that can be asked in exam. So from when we talk about all the topics, it may be arithmetic, it may be reasoning, it may be any topic, okay? So from that topic itself, they can ask uh, data sufficiency kind of question. So how can we master this topic? What makes data sufficiency easier? Number one thing is having a clear understanding of the formula. That means having a clear-cut understanding of the formula. If we are talking about quants, that means how the formula is working. And the other one is having a clear concept about that particular topic. Okay, so let me take a nearest example, or let's say I have a area of cylinder is given, which is nothing but by r square h. Let's say it is given as 250. Area of a cylinder is given. And if you are asked to find, I mean volume, okay, not area. Volume of a cylinder is given. And if you are asked to find the volume of a cone, then I can, by using this volume of a cylinder, what I can do is I can find the volume of the cone. How? Because if you have a cone like this, if you have a cylinder like this, and if I have a cone like this, if the question says that the radius of the cone and the height of the cone is same with the cylinder, then in that case, what we do is we just use the formula like this. We know the volume of a cone is 1 by 3 by r square h. You look at this. We have by r square h, we have by r square h. Then if you have by r square h value is this one, what I can do is 1/3 of the volume of the cylinder will give me the volume of the cone. So which is 250 divided by 3 is nothing but the volume of the cone. So if you have the understanding of how cylinder and cone are correlated, which will make it easier for you to solve the answer here. Okay, so that kind of topic, I think we have done regarding the mensuration topic as well as all the topics. So let's start with the topic here. How do we solve data sufficiency then? The first thing is first understand what exactly is asked, or what do you need to find. Okay, so first you read the question and understand what is asked in the question, or what do you need to find. And next step is check each statement. There will be 2 or 3 statements given. So you check every statement, and each statement, let it be statement number 1. Using statement number 1, are you able to answer the question that is asked? Or using statement number 2, are you able to answer the question that is asked? Or using statement number 3, are you able to answer the question that is asked? You check for each statement. If you're gonna answer by using only one statement, after that only you go for. If not, then use a combined statement. Combined statement means using combined statement number 1 and 2 together. By combining these two, check whether you are able to answer what is asked in the question or not. Or combine equation statement number 1 and statement number 3 together, and check whether you are getting the answer that is asked in the question or not. So you combine two at a time. That's how we approach the question. First is you read the question properly and understand what is asked. Next thing is check every statement, one statement at a time. After that, if you're not getting the answer, only then you check for combined statement. You combine two statements each and check whether you're getting the answer or not. Okay. Next, things to remember. This is very important. Always remember that our goal is not to solve the problem. That means we don't need to calculate anything here. You don't need to get the exact answer, or you don't need to get the answer of that. So always remember that our goal is not to solve the problem. We just need to analyze and say whether the data given is sufficient enough to answer or not. Next thing is don't make any assumption. So try to avoid assumption. That's number 2 thing. And number 3 is understand what or how many values is required in each statement. So let me just take an example here to understand this. Let's say I have 2x plus 3y is equal to 14. In this case, if you look here, you see that I don't know the value of x, I don't know the value of y. So here in this equation, I have two variables. That means I won't be able to find the value of x as well as I won't be able to find the value of y, because we have only one equation and we have two unknown. So if you have one equation, that means 2x plus 3y, and you have two unknowns, then in that case, we want this data is not sufficient to answer. But number two thing is, if you have like this, 2x plus 3y is equal to 15, and if you have 5x is equal to 13. In this case, using this data, what I can do is, since there's only one unknown here, what I can do is I can use this statement and I can find the value of x. I can use this statement and I can find the value of x. And if I put the value of x in this equation, I can solve the value of x and y. So using this two statement, I can answer a question here. I can find the value of x as well as y. So that's how we relate two statements there, okay? So let's try some questions. Actually, if you go through the question paper of NPSC, last year there were lots of questions based on data sufficiency. And in the year 2022 or 2021, let me cross check. There were, yeah, it was in the year 2021. There was also some sets of questions, but last year it was based on most on quants, but in the year 2021, it was based on reasoning. So there's a little bit difference there. And mains exam this year, there were some questions based on reasoning. I guess we'll be trying all those questions. And remember, I'll be using only PYQs tonight, okay? Because it will, I think it will help you better. It will make more clear that what type of question is asked in NPSC, okay? There are lots or different types of question that I have, but I won't be using all those questions. The types of question they ask is a little bit different. So let us start with this question here. If you are not following me, or if you can understand what I'm saying, please type in repeat, okay? I'll explain that part. Obviously, data interpretation is not a very simple thing to understand for some, so I'll try to go as slow as possible. First thing first, we need to find what is asked. What is asked here? Is a given rectangular block a cube? That means we are asked to find whether the given block is a cube or not. Okay, that is asked. So statement number one, at least, let me just write statement number one. Statement number one says, at least two faces of the rectangular block are square. At least two faces, that means two face is square. So if I have a box like this, the question says, let me just shed the part. This part and this part can be square there. At least two faces of a rectangular block are squares. That's number one statement. So by using this, can I say the block given is a cube? No, right? So this statement number one alone is not sufficient to say that the given block is a cube. That's number one. Number two is the volume of the block is 125. Volume of the block. So number two says volume of the block is 125. So so if you are good with squares and cubes, it will make it more easier. What is it? The area of a rectangle. Area of a cuboid. Area of a cuboid is what? Length into, volume. Length into breadth into height is the volume of a cuboid. And what's the volume of a cube? It is side into side into side. If you look at this 125, can I say that it's a perfect cube? So if this 125 is a perfect cube, then I can say that it's a cube. All the perfect cube number, if the volume is a perfect cube, then it will always give you a cube, okay? So can I assume that I have I don't need to assume anything here. Directly I can say this, because 125 is what? 5 cube. So we have a block which is of side 5 into 5 into 5. or the length here is 5 and breadth here is 5 and height here is 5. So which means it's a cube. So directly, just by using statement number 2, I can answer that it is a cube. The rectangular block given there is a cube. So let's look at the options. Statement 1 alone is sufficient, while statement 2 alone is not sufficient. Next is both statement 1 together are not sufficient. This is not the option. Statement 2 alone is sufficient, while statement 1 alone is not sufficient. So the answer here is option number C. That's the answer there. Are you following this, or do you want me to repeat? If you're following, you give a thumbs up and we'll move on. Okay. If you're clear, let's move on to next. The next question here is, what is asked first? Let's try to find. How much time did X take to reach the certain destination? The ratio of the speed of X and Y are, that means statement number 2. I'm starting with statement number 1. Statement number 1 says the ratio of speed of X and Y. Speed, okay. Speed of X and Y is nothing but 3:5. Next is, and what is it? How much time did X take to reach the destination? So using the statement number 1, I cannot say how long did X took, because statement number 1 says only the speed of X and Y. So there's no mention of how long it took. So statement number 1 alone is not sufficient. Next, the statement number 2 here is, what does it say? Y takes 45 minutes to reach the destination. So time taken by Y is given. Time taken by Y is given as how much? 45 minutes. So look at this. What's the formula for speed, time, and distance? Speed is equal to distance by time. Speed is equal to distance by time. We have a relation of speed, which is this one. 3:5. That means if X is traveling at 3 meters per second or 3 kilometers per hour, Y is traveling at 5 kilometers per hour. So we have a relation between these two. If X is traveling at 3 kilometers per hour, Y is traveling at 5 kilometers per hour. That's what we can assume as of now. And what does the question say? Let's try to read again. How much time did X take to reach the certain destination? So we are talking about a certain distance. Okay. So here in this case, distance is constant. That means X is also traveling from this point A to point P, and Y is also traveling from this point A to point P. This is X traveling and this is Y traveling. That means X is traveling the same distance, Y is also traveling the same distance. So in both the cases, we know the distance is constant. That means distance remains the same. But one thing we know is, we know what is it? The time taken by Y. So if I know the value of this, if I know the value of this, and if I know the value of this, can I write like this? Speed of X is given as distance by time. So which means this speed of X into time will be nothing but distance, and speed of Y into Y is equal to distance by time taken by let me use here X, okay, time taken by X and time taken by Y. So we can write speed of Y into time taken of Y is nothing but D there. If you look here carefully, you see that we have D here and we have D here. These two are the same distance. That means we are talking about same distance. So which means I can write this one as Sx into dx is equal to what is it? Sy into dy, because the distance here is same. So if the distance here is same, that means I can say that this side, left-hand side and left-hand side will be same. And what do we know? You just look at this equation here. In this equation, we know some few terms here. We know this dy value, we know sy value, we know sx value. Can I find dx directly? Because the question here is we are asked to find how much time x take to reach the destination. That means we just need to find this value here. So we have in this equation, what we have is we have just only one unknown. We know this value as x. That means speed of x is this one, and speed of y is also this one. We know that, and time taken by y is given, which is this one. So using this value, I can find this value easily. So which means I need to use both the statement. So both the statement 1 and 2 is necessary to answer the question. Any doubts there? Or you want me to clarify any parts? Okay, clear with that? Let's move on to next now then. The next question here is, let's read the question. What is asked? Treat down PQR are on a straight line. They are on a straight line. That's number one thing. Down R is between P and Q. Okay, let us draw that. We have a straight line, and in that straight line, down R is between P and Q. Down R is between P and Q, but it can also be this way. Q here, R here, and why am I writing Q here? B here and Q here. We don't know which case. The distance from P to R is 100 kilometer. The distance from P to R, the P to R is given as 100 kilometer. P to R is given as 100 kilometer. How far is Q from P? We need to find how far is Q from P. We need to find this. So one guess is enough. So let me just wrap this part. I thought there will be some variation there. So we are asked to find how far is Q from P. So distance between PQ is asked. So by this, what we can understand is if I know the value of the distance between R and Q, I can easily find the value there. That's one thing I can understand. So let's start with statement number 1. Statement number 1 says what? Statement number 1 says the distance between Q and R, the distance between Q and R is 50% more than the distance between P and R. The distance between R and Q is what? 50% more than, that means 50% more than the distance between P and R. Look at this equation here. Let's try to understand this. The distance between R and Q is nothing but 50% more than P and R. Let me write in terms of equation. If it's hard for you to understand this, if I'm to write in terms of equation like this, the distance between, where is it? The distance between Q, can I assume this part as X here? Let me just assume X here for your understanding. The distance between R and Q, that means distance between R and Q is equal to 50% more than the distance, 50% more. That means 50% of 100, then between P and R. Let me repeat again. The distance between R and Q is 50% more. 50% of what? 50% of 100. More means 50% of the distance between these two, okay? 50% more than this one. So because there is more, that's the reason why I'm writing plus sign here. This is 50% more. More than what? The distance between P and R. So if I am to write in terms of equation, I can write X is equal to 50%, that means 50 of 100 into 100, plus BR is how much? 100 there. So if you look at this equation, you see that we just have only one unknown, which is X. So using this value, I can directly find the value of X. So like I've told you earlier, if I know the distance between R and Q, I can find the distance between this one because I know the distance between these two. So I can find the distance between those two. So statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer. That's number 1. This alone is sufficient. That's number 1 guess. Let's check for statement 2 also. Statement number 2 is the 5 times the distance between P and R. 5 times the 5 times the distance from P to R. Let me write this way. 5 times, statement number 2 is 5 times the distance between P and R is same as, that means it's equal to, same as means equal to 2 times the distance between P and Q. You look at this here. We know this value, PR. 5 into PR is how much? PR is 100 is equal to 2 times, what is it? PQ. So if you look here carefully, even here we see that we just have only one unknown, which is PQ. So which means even just by using statement number 2, I can answer this. So look at the statement now. Statement 1 alone is sufficient, while statement 2 alone is not sufficient. That means this option is eliminated. Both 1 and 2, no, because I'm using only 1 to answer, or 1 or 2. So either statement number 1 or 2 alone is sufficient to answer. So the answer here is this one. Are we clear with this? Any doubts you want me to clarify? If you're following, you can give a thumbs up and we'll move on to next, okay? Okay, if it's fine, let's move on to the next question. Next question here is, this below consists of a question. Okay, what is asked? Let's try to look at what is asked. What is the rate of simple interest? What is the rate of interest? So which means rate of interest is asked. R is asked. Rate of interest. So remember, we are talking about simple interest. Rate of interest here is, we are talking about simple interest, SI, okay? Let's look at statement number 1. Statement number 1 is what? The total interest earned was 7,000. Interest earned means what? Interest earned means, I've told you yesterday, interest means here we are talking about simple interest, which is given as 7,000. Total interest earned, that means interest that has been earned by the principal is given as 7,000. That's number 1. So just by using this, I don't think I'll be able to answer the rate of interest there, because no principal is given, no rate of interest is given. I'll write the formula here. Simple interest formula is principal into rate into time divided by 100. Using this statement number 1, I won't be able to answer. Why? Because I don't know time, I don't know rate, I don't know principal. I just know this one. So I have 3 unknowns, which means it is not possible to solve the answer there. Let's go to next there. Statement number 2 says what? The sum was invested for 5 years. So which means the time here is given as 5 years. The sum was invested for 5 years. So by looking at this, one thing we can do is, I know simple interest, I know time. So let us look at our formula here. I know simple interest. I know simple interest, this one, and I know time. But if you look here carefully, in this equation, how many unknowns do we have? I don't know 2 things. One is I don't know principal, I don't know the rate of interest. So in one equation, I cannot find two values there, because there's 2 unknowns. I can find P value, I can find R value. Using this 2 statement also, I know this simple interest value is 7,000. I know time is 5 years, but you don't know this value, you don't know this value. So how will you tell that the exact value of R there? So that's the reason why both the statement is not sufficient to answer here. Both the statement is not sufficient to answer. Are we clear with this? So it's not that hard as you think. Data sufficiency is a very so to say, if the question is not very much complex, it's easy to attempt kind of question. You don't spend much time here. Let's go to next. What is asked here? What is the length of a running train A crossing another train B? Length of train A. So we have train A, we have train A and train B. What is asked? The length of the running train A. What is the length of the crossing another? Okay, we are asked to find the length of train A. You might have learned about speed, time, and distance based on train. So let's try to understand the question here. Statement number 1, what does it say? Statement number 1 says, 2 trains takes 24 seconds to cross each other. So time is given as 24 seconds. Time is given. But I don't know whether you've memorized the formula or not. But if there is 2 trains, what do we do? Train is based on speed, time, and distance formula. But in this case, when there is two moving bodies, what do we use? We use relative speed, right? One is also moving and the other one is also moving. But so which means there will be two speed here, speed 1 and speed 2, but I don't know the direction there. So let me just stick with this one. The formula will be speed 1, but directly by using statement number 1, we won't be able to answer the answer here, because I just have time. But I don't know the speed there, and I don't know the distance there. So that's the reason why. What is distance here? Distance in trend problem, what do? We write length of the trend 1 plus length of the trend 2 is nothing but the distance. In trend problem, always keep in mind the distance is nothing but the length of the trend there, okay? So we have two trends here, so which means the length of trend 1 plus the length of trend 2, okay? So let us go to statement number 2. What does it say? 1 is not sufficient. So let us check statement number 2 there. What does it say? Two trains are running in the opposite direction. Okay. Statement number 2 says they are running in an opposite direction. One is running this side, the other one is running this side. Relative speed formula. So if two moving bodies, one is traveling this side and the other one is traveling this side, then what do we do? One is traveling this side and the other one is traveling this side. That means both are traveling towards each other. In that case, let's say this is speed 1, this is speed 2. In that case, what we do is, if you are traveling towards each other, relative speed is nothing but speed 1 plus speed 2. One is also traveling towards the other, and the other one is also traveling towards the other one. So in that case, what we do is, the relative speed here is speed 1 plus speed 2. So here, in this case, speed here is speed 1, speed 2, and the distance here, this one, the speed here is how much? Speed 1 plus speed 2. Why speed 1 plus speed 2? Since there is two moving bodies, that's the reason why we need to use relative speed. And what is the distance? Distance is this one. The length of the train 1, the length of the train 1 plus the length of the train 2, and divided by time. So you look at this one. Using statement number 2 also, I won't be able to answer. Statement number 2 itself is just about direction only. There's no data, nothing there. But one thing we can understand is, by using these two, I can get a relative speed. But I don't know the answer there. So let's check statement number 3 also. What does statement number 3 says? Let's find. Statement number 3 says, what is it? It says the length of the train P, is 220 meter. The length of the train P. So the length of train 2 is nothing but 220 meter. That's given. Shall we put the values and check how many unknowns are there, whether we can answer or not? Since we know that statement number 1 alone is we won't be able to answer. Same thing, 2 we won't be able to answer. Third also we won't be able to answer. So which means I need to go for the third step, which is combining two statements each, or all the statements together. So if I use all the three statements here, I'll be getting this equation here. Because of statement number 2, because of this statement number 2, what I'm getting is I'm getting the relative speed here. And because of statement number 1, I can get time there. And because of statement number 3, I can get L there. So if I am the right in terms of the answer here, speed 1 plus speed 2 is nothing but length of the first train plus length of the second train is how much? 220 divided by the time here is 24. But you look at this. In this equation, there is how many unknowns are there? In one equation, there should be only one unknown if you are to get the answer. We don't know their speed. Speed of one and speed of the second train, we don't know. That means we don't know this. What about this? We don't know this. So if you have two unknowns, or let's say in this case we have three unknowns, we won't be able to solve this question. So the answer here is, where is it? Even with statement number 1, 2, and 3, the answer cannot be obtained. So which is option number A there. Are we clear with that? Any doubts you want me to clarify? Clear? So let us go to the next question now. Next question here is, this consists, okay, let me just directly go to what is asked. What is the rate of interest percent per annum? Okay, rate of interest percent per annum. Rate of interest here is asked. Similar kind of question. But what is given here? Statement number 1. Let us go to statement number 1. Oh, what is it? Statement number 1 here is, it says, The difference between the compound interest and the simple interest earned on a certain sum in 2 years is this one. We have done a question here yesterday. What was the question? Compound interest minus simple interest formula was P into R divided by 100 to the power 2. If it was 2 years, we have learned this one yesterday. And this same concept we're going to use here. What is given? The difference between this one. So CI minus SI is given, which is given as how much? 500. This is given from statement number 1. The difference between compound interest and simple interest for 2 years is given. So, which means I can use this formula here because we are talking about 2 years there. Let's check statement number 2. Statement number 1 itself, I won't be able to answer because in this case, I don't know this value, I don't know this value. That means I have two unknowns. If I have two unknowns, then I won't be able to get the answer there. So statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer. Let us check with statement number 2. Statement number 2 says, an amount double itself in 5 years. An amount double itself in 5 years on simple interest. Let me write that. There's 2 there. Statement number 2 says, the amount, that means principal becomes 2 times of that principal. The amount double itself in how many years? In 5 years. It becomes this one in how many? Let me just rewrite this way. Amount, which is the principal, this one becomes 2 times of that one in 5 years. That's what the statement number 2 says. The amount doubles itself in 5 years. I don't know whether you have solved this type of question or not, but using this statement, let me just break down this one a little bit for you to understand. If my, in this case, if my principal here is X, I think we have done this because it was me who taught you simple interest. So if your principal here is this one, that means simple interest here will be how much? We don't know. But amount, you are getting back 2 times of that value. You are lending out X rupees and you are getting double of that value in how long? In how many years? Time given here is, what is it? 5 years. So you look at this. Because of this statement number 2, what we can understand is principal was X and it becomes double of that. That means the amount, okay? Together with the simple interest, everything, amount we are getting this in how long? In 5 years. So can I write like this? Simple interest formula is nothing but amount minus principal. We have learned that from the amount that you are getting back, if you remove principal, it will give you interest. We have learned that yesterday. So simple interest here is nothing but amount is how much? 2 times of X minus principal here is X, which is nothing but X. Simple interest is nothing but X. But one thing you can remember is in order to skip this step, always remember when there is double, your principal will always be equal to the simple interest. If a question is based on double kind of thing, okay? So you can also keep that in mind so that you can skip some steps. So let's try to solve this a little bit because I feel like using statement number 2, we can get some answers here. So using this, simple interest formula was what? Principal into rate of interest into time divided by 100. What do we know? We know simple interest, we know principal, and we don't know rate of interest, we know time divided by 100. You look here carefully, X and X will get cancelled. If you transfer 100 to the other side, 100 will go up, which is equal to R into 5. So I can get my value of R here, which is 100 by 5. So just by using statement number 1, statement number 2, I can answer. Statement number 2, I can answer. So let us look at the options ones, okay? Statement number 1 alone is sufficient. This is eliminated. Statement number 2 alone or statement number 1 and 3 only are sufficient. So which means this may be the answer. All the 3 statements, these are necessary. Though this one, I can eliminate this one. Why? Because I don't need all the statements to say to get the rate of interest. Because just by using statement number 2, I'm getting the answer. So that option is eliminated. Any 2 of the 3 statements are necessary. No, which means I can eliminate this option. Any 2 of this 3. That means statement number 2. I'm not combining with any of the statement, and I'm getting the answer. So directly, without solving statement number 3 also, you can get your answer here. which is option number B there. Okay, statement number 2 alone or statement number 1 and 3. So you don't need to check for the third statement also in this question. But you can also, by option elimination, we got our answer is B. But if you want to cross check, statement number 3 says what? Statement number 3 says the simple interest earned per annum is this one. SI is given as how much? 2123. You look here. 2 years, simple interest and compound interest is given as this one. So you look at here, if you know simple interest, you can put your value here and you can get the value here. So you can combine this two and get this value, and using this value you can get a value here. So that is how we can, just by combining 1 and 3, we can also get the answer there. So I won't go in much detail because by option elimination we have got the answer there. Okay, let's go to the next. Are we clear with this? How is it? If you're clear, I'll move on. If not, I'll be again. Okay. Next question. The next question is, what is asked? What is the compound interest earned at the end of 4 years? So using the question, we are asked to find compound interest for how long? Time here is 4 years. So time is given and we are asked to find compound interest. Let's use statement number 1. Statement number 1 says the rate of interest is 10% per annum. So statement number 1 says the rate of interest here is 10% per annum. 10%. Shall I write the compound interest formula? Compound interest formula is, we have done yesterday. So principal into 1 plus rate of interest divided by 100 to the power time minus 1. This is the compound interest formula. So you look at this term here. You need to find this value, but you have this value, but you know this, you don't know this value. So you have, in this equation, there's how many unknowns? We know this, but we don't know this, We have 2 unknowns. So which means this equation cannot be solved. So using equation number 1, statement number 1, I cannot get the answer there. Let us go to statement number 2 then. Statement number 2 is what? Statement number 2 here is simple interest earned on that amount at the same time and for the same period is this one. So simple interest is given as 6123. But remember one thing here. Simple interest earned on that amount. That means if the principal here is X, the principal here is also X. That's what it means. At the same rate of interest, if the rate of interest here is 10, here also it should be 10. But I'm not combining the two statements, statement number 1 and 2 together, because I'm checking for separate statement for once. So, but the time here is given as how much? The time here is given as 4 years. Why am I using 4 years here? Because this is not the statement, but this is what is given in the question. That's the reason why I'm using here directly. But why am I not using the rate of interest here? Because I'm not combining these two equations. I'm not combining these two statements. That's the reason why I'm not using the rate of interest here. Okay. Next is, can I say the value? Can I get the value here? Simple interest formula was what? Simple interest formula is principal into rate of interest into time divided by 100. You look here carefully. Even here, I know simple interest. I don't know the principal. I don't know the rate of interest. I know time here. Why I'm saying I don't know the rate of interest is because I'm not using statement number 1, because I'm checking statement number 2 itself alone. Is, are we able to answer that or not? So that's the reason why I'm not using statement number 1 there. So just by looking at this, I can say that using statement number 2, I won't be able to answer. Let's check for statement number 3 there. Statement number 3 says what? 3 says 1, 2, 3. Statement number, oh, this should be statement number 2. Statement number 3 says compound interest for 3 years is more than. That means compound interest for 3 years is more than the simple interest for that period by. That means compound interest is more than. So can I write like this? Is more than the simple interest of the 3 years by how much? 961.50. So if you look here carefully, one thing we can understand is we have statement number 3 here. Compound interest for 3 years is more than the simple interest for that period by this one. So you can also write like this. Simple interest, simple interest minus compound interest for 3 years is nothing but this one. This is what we have. But if you are to use the formula that we were using, what is it? Principal into rate of interest divided by 100 to the power, in place of n, in place of 2, I can use also 3 here. If I use 3 here, will I get the answer here? Because the principal is same, the rate of interest here. So without using this, what we can do is we won't be able to get the answer here directly. I won't be able to get the answer using statement number 3 also. Now, since we are unable to solve this question by each statement, let us combine two statements each, or three, or all the statements. So if I am to combine all the statements, let me combine 1 and 2 once. Is there in the option? Only you look at option number 1. Option number 1 says only statement 1 and 2 alone are sufficient. So let us check for statement 1 and 2. So statement number 1 says the rate is 10%. So now I can put the rate as 10%. Now I'm combining two statement number 1 and 2 together. Okay, so if I combine these two, I have simple interest, I have principal, I have rate of interest, and I have time here. So using this one, you look at this equation here, simple interest formula. Simple interest formula, I know simple interest, I know the principal, or if I don't know the principal also, I have what? The rate of interest, I know the time here. So can I find principal from that? So I can find the principal from that, because simple interest is how much? Simple interest here is given as 6,000, and principal I don't know. But the rate of interest is also given as 10% there, and the time is also given. So if I get the principal here in this equation, compound interest, we also find compound interest. The core thing is finding compound interest. So in this compound interest equation, what do we have? We have principal, we have rate of interest, we have time. You look here carefully. Now that you have time, you have rate of interest, and you can get principal from this equation, from simple interest equation, you can get principal. So if you put that principal value here, you can get compound interest. So using statement number 1 and 2 alone, you can answer the question there. How is it? If you want me to get the answer in detail, I can also write this way. Let me just write, because some may be a little bit confused there. See, simple interest formula is, you don't need to do this one in exam, okay? But just for your understanding, is principal into rate of interest into time divided by 100. Simple interest is how much? 600. 6,000 is equal to principal here, I'm assuming it as x. Into rate of interest here is 10, into time here is 4, divided by 100. So 0, 0 cancel. So which means 6, 1, 2, 3 into 10 divided by 4, which is equal to x. So if I solve this, I'll get 4 1s are 4, 4 5s are 20, and 1 2. So 1 5 1 2 3. I have my principal as this one. If I have my principal, compound interest formula was what? Compound interest formula is principal into 1 plus rate of interest divided by 100 to the power t minus 1. So what do we have? We have principal, which is how much? 15, 1 2 3, and 1 plus rate of interest here was 10 divided by 100 to the power, for how much? For how long? For 4 years. For 4 years minus 1. So you have the answer here. All the values here is nothing but numbers only, so you can get the value here. So that's how we can approach this question. Okay, shall we move on to next? Now the next question here is, what is the question here? What is the percentage profit? Okay, it is based on profit and loss. What is the percentage profit earned by a shopkeeper on selling an article in his shop? On selling an article in his shop. So we are asked to find profit percentage on selling an article in his shop. So nothing is given in our question. Let us start with statement number 1. Statement number 1 here is the marked price of an article. The marked price of an article was sold. Okay, article sold. Okay, The mark price of the article sold was 20% above the cost price. Statement number 1. The question says mark price was 20% above the cost price. Can I write like this? Cost price, if I assume it as 100, mark price is 20 above. That means 120%. If cost price was 100%, that means mark price is 20% above, which is 120. That's what statement number 1 says. But remember one thing here, there's nothing given here. What is given? We don't know the selling. See, if you want to get profit, what do you need? Profit percentage formula was profit divided by cost price into 100. This is profit percentage formula. Or in other words, profit percentage can also be written as profit, meaning is what? Profit means you are buying something at a cheaper rate and selling at a higher rate. That means your selling price will be more. So profit means you are buying something at a cheaper rate and you are selling at a higher rate. That means there is some profit there. That's how we say, right? So profit is nothing but selling price minus cost price divided by cost price into 100. This is profit. So you look here. In order to get profit, what you need is you need to know what is selling price, but we don't know the selling price here. So statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer, because what you know is you know the mark price, yes, you know the cost price, yes, but you don't know the selling price. But if you want to get profit, you should know at what price you have sold the items, right? So in this case, we don't know. So which means statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer. Let's check statement number 2. Statement number 2 is, what does it say? Statement number 2 says a discount of 15% on the mark price was offered. That means discount percentage is given as 15%. But remember, statement number 2, this alone we won't be able to answer. Why? Because here though just discount is given. And like I've told you earlier, you don't need to consider this one as of now, because we are checking one statement at a time, whether once that particular statement, are we able to answer the question or not. So statement number 2 here, this statement is also, we are unable to answer because of this. So let us check for statement number 3 now. This is 2. If statement number 3, what does it say? The cost price of each article was 600. So cost price was given as 600. This is cost price. Now that we know all the statements alone cannot, we cannot answer we cannot answer this question, what is asked. So let us do some option elimination here. Option number A is not an option because 1 alone is not sufficient. Statement number 2 is also not the answer because statement number 2 alone is not sufficient to answer. Statement number 3 is 2 and 3 sufficient to answer. 2 and 3. You look at statement number 2. Statement number 2 says what? There is a discount. And statement number 3 says what? This is the cost price. So you know cost price, which is 600, but do you know the mark price here? By, you know, discount is always applied on what? That's the reason why I told you always this core concept is important. Discount is always applied on mark price, remember that. Okay, so discount is always applied on mark price, but in this case we don't know mark price, so which means statement number 2 and 3 is not sufficient to answer. So directly we are just left with 1 without analyzing anything. Just by option elimination we are getting option number D as the answer. But let us cross check whether that is correct or not. If you want to cross check, statement number 1 and 2 is sufficient. So statement number 1 says mark price is given, cost price is given, selling price we don't know, but discount is given. So if there was 120, if let's say if the mark price was 120, from this 120 there will be a discount of 15%. So after discount you will get here, which is selling price, and we know cost price here it is nothing but 100. So how much plus is here? That will be your answer there. Shall we cross check this one? If there is from this 120, from 120, if discount is given, let's check 15% discount. An item was 120 rupees, and if a discount of 15% was given, 15% of what? 120. The item was 120 rupees. From there, a discount, which means subtraction of 15% is given, then what will be the value? Shall we solve that? 120 minus 15 is 15 divided by 100 of 120. So 0, 0 cancel. So if we multiply this one, 5 2s are 10. 120, 5 2s are 10, 0, 1 in hand. 15 into 12. Or 5 2s are 10, 5 3s are 15. 3, 2, 6 are 12, 6 3s are 18. So what is it? 120 minus 18 is 102. Selling price is 102. So you look here, we are talking in terms of percentage. So always keep that in mind. Mark price was 120% and the selling price is 102. Cost price was 100%. So there is a profit of 2% there. So profit percentage is 2%. So that's how you find, okay? So like I've told you earlier, you don't need to solve everything. First, analyze all the statements. After analyzing each statement, check whether you are able to answer or not. If you're not able to answer, do some option elimination. After option elimination, check one or two options. After checking one or two options, you can get your answer directly without solving anything there, okay? Clear with this? Any doubts you want me to clarify? Okay, if you're clear, I'll move on to next. Question number 17. Question number, this question here, what is asked here? In a cricket team, the average of 11 player is 26 years. So average. 26 people is, average of 11 players is, average of 11 number of people is, player is 26, that is given. What is the age of the youngest player? The age of the youngest player of the team. So this is given in the question. We are asked to find the youngest player's age. We need to find that. Shall we give it a try? Let's start with statement number 1. Leaving aside the captain and the youngest player, the captain and the youngest player. If we remove the captain and the youngest player, so statement number 1, we are talking about how many peoples now? If I remove, there was 11 people. There was 11 people. From 11 people, if I remove the captain and youngest player, that means from 11 I'm removing 2. If I remove 2, we are talking about 9 people there. So the average age of 3 groups of players are, okay, there's a twist here. So there was 11 player. Now, if we remove that, if we remove the captain and the youngest player, what we have is we have 3 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. From this 11, we are removing 2, which is youngest player and the captain. How many groups do we have? We have 1 group, we have another group, and we have another group. We have 3 groups. And the question says like this: the average age of this one, that means average age of the first group is 26, and the average age of the second group is 28, and the average age of the third group is nothing but 30. That is what the question says. 3 groups, different averages given. So just by looking at this, can we answer what is the age of the youngest player? No, right? Because nothing is given here. We are just given average of 3 groups of people. That means statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question here. So let us go to statement number 2 there. Statement number 2 says, that the captain is 7 years older than the youngest player. So if the captain's age is like this, if the captain's age is X, the youngest player's age is X, then captain's age is X plus 7. 7 years older. That means if the captain's age was 2, the youngest player's age was 20, then the captain's age is 7 years more, which is 27. So the youngest player's age plus 7 will give us 27 years. So that is the value there. But obviously, using this, we won't be able to solve. just by using the youngest player's age and the captain's age, I won't be able to tell the youngest player's age. So statement number 2 alone is not sufficient as well. Is it 3 enough? Let's check for 3. Statement number 3 here is the average age of 10 players other than the youngest player is 25. Okay. The average age of 10 players, average of 10 players, 10 players other than the youngest player, that means youngest player is not included, is given as 25, okay, 25 years and 9 months. 25 years and 9 months. So average age excluding the youngest player is this one. There is no youngest player here. Can we try to understand this? First, we know statement number 3 is, this one is also not sufficient to answer. Because in this question, what we don't know is, we don't know this youngest player. And we know the average of 10, so which means we'll be able to find the sum of the age of 10 players. We can get that directly. But we cannot get the other value here. I'll do like this. What is given in the question? Oh no, statement number 3 alone is sufficient. Yeah, this is statement here. Average of 11 is how much? Average formula was sum divided by the number of people. So sum here, if I want to find the sum of the ages, which is nothing but average into the number of people. Average into the number of people. Using this first, what is given in the question, can I find the sum of the 11 player? That means sum of all the players is how much? 11 into 26. I know the sum of this one, which is 6, 8, and 2. The sum of all the ages is 6, 8, and 2. But if I remove the, according to statement number 3, okay? According to statement number 3, if I remove the youngest age, then what do we have? The sum of the remaining will be how much? 25 and 9. Okay. How do we convert this? How many? We are talking about 9 months and there is 12 months in a year. This is how we convert, okay? We are talking about 9 months. We are talking about 9 months in a year. How many months are there? There is 12 months. So I'm converting it to years here. So you can simplify this, or you can write it anyway. You can write this way also fine, or if you are confused with this, you can also do like this. This can also be rewritten as 25 years plus 9 by 12 years. But I used to tell always, if you have a term like this is just similar with mixed term. Mixed fraction. So if you want to find the sum, you have the average into number of people. How many number of people? 10 number of people. So including, the total sum of all the ages, including the youngest player, is this one. And if I exclude the youngest player, then I'll get some value using this one. So if I subtract this two, can I get the value of the youngest player? So let me just solve it completely here. 3 3s are 9, 3 4s are 12. 3 3s are 9, 3 4s are 12. Can you simplify? 4 5s are 100. 103 divided by 103 divided by 4. So which can be written as 4 2s are 8, 4 5s are 20, and 4 3 0. How much? 7s are. So you will get something like 27 point something. Not 27. 250 point something here. 250.07 or something like that. So you compare this one. If I exclude, you don't need to solve everything, okay? Just for understanding, I'm explaining here. The sum of all the players is this one. And if I exclude the age of the 11 year, then I'm getting this. So if I subtract this two value, then what we will get is we will get the age of the youngest player. So which means statement number 3 alone, where is the statement here? You look here. All the 3 statements are necessary. That's no. Statement number 3 alone or statement number 1 and 2 alone are sufficient. So which means this may be a possibility. Statement number 1 and 3 alone are sufficient. No. Any 2 of 3? No. So which means we are left with this one only. So you don't need to check for this part as well. Since we know that statement number 3 alone is sufficient to answer. So just by looking at this part, Since there is no other option that says statement number 3 alone and this one, that's the reason why we can go for this answer. Are we clear with this? Since I was the one who taught you the average, I feel like it will be much more easier since we are doing this. I'll move on to next. Yeah. How many questions do we have? Okay, we are coming to an end of this year's question paper. I mean last year's. What is asked here? The total area of a four walls of a room. Four walls of a room. Okay. We need to find the area of four walls. So if you have a room here, a room will be, I don't know, whichever shape it may be. So we need to find the four walls. That means the roof and the floor is not given. So what do we call the, if you have a box, then the surrounding areas, what do we call? Surrounding areas. Do we call that as lateral surface area? If it was a cylinder, we call it what? If it was a cylinder, what do we call? We call it curved surface area. But if it's a box, we say lateral surface area. Okay, so it may be a cube or it may be a cuboid. You need to find the lateral surface area. That's what it means. What is given? The area of one wall is this one. Okay, statement number one is area of one wall. Area of one wall is given as 168 square meter. I can directly say that statement number one is not sufficient because I don't know whether this box or this room is in a square shape or a rectangular shape, or I mean in a cube shape or a cuboid shape. I don't know that. Just one area is given. If it was a cuboid, that means if it was a cuboid like this, one wall, that means area of this one and the area of this one will be different, or the area of this part and the area of this part will be different. So what we can do is statement number one alone is not sufficient to answer. Directly I'm crossing that. Let us check statement number two. The floor area of a hall is 140. Okay, there's a detail here now. Floor area is given as how much? 140 square meter. 140 square meter. But if I know this floor area, I won't be able to find. Because same thing here. I don't know whether using this one, I don't know whether it's a cube or a cuboid. I don't know that. So because of that reason, I can eliminate this option. I mean this statement. Because statement number two alone is also not, we won't be able to answer. Let us check for statement number three. Statement number three here says what? Three here says the breadth, length, and height are in a ratio. That means breadth, length, and height are in a ratio of 5:7:6. Okay, because of statement number three, I can understand that it is a what is it? It is a cuboid. Why? Because length, breadth, and height. In cube, we don't have length, breadth, and height. We just have side. So because of statement number three, I can understand that it is a cuboid. But this alone is not sufficient to answer. So each statement, statement number one is not enough to answer. Two is also not enough to answer. Three is also not enough to answer. So now let us combine the statements here. One thing I'm clear is I'm clear that I don't need to use statement number one. Why? Because I don't know which side it is. Itu side hona, itu side hona, itu side hona, itu side hona. Kun la side is we don't know. Ki la side is najine. So what I can do is I can eliminate this option directly. So you look at the options here. Statement number one alone is sufficient. No. Statement number three alone is sufficient. No. Statement number two alone is sufficient. So just by eliminating the options, I have my answer here. Statement number 2 and 3 alone is sufficient to answer. But come on, let's try to understand what is asked here. Even though we have the answer in exam, don't cross check, okay? Directly you go for the answer. That's the option there, 100% sure. But as of now, let us try something. Let's try to understand this. If you have a box, if you have a rectangular box, let me throw a box here. If I have a rectangular box like this, then in this case, we know length, which is 7, breadth, which we know which is 5, and height is 6. Obviously, we know that it is in terms of ratio, but I'm just directly using this value here. Breadth is 5. So we know this one we call it breadth, and this one we call it height, and this one we call it length. So length is this one. And so if we talk about this, statement number 2 talks about what? 140 square meter, which is of the floor. Floor means this one, right? Floor is this one. So this area is given. So this area, what we're going to use is in order to find this, I just need to use this one in 7 and 5. So if I assume the length as, I'll just use x here because you may get confused here. So length into breadth is given because of the statement number 2, length into breadth is given as 140. So length is how much? 7x. And breadth is how much? 5x. You can get the value of x here, 140. So which means x is equal to 140 divided by 5 into 7. 7 2s are 14, 5 4s are 20. So x value here is 4. So if your x value is 4, you have this, what is it? Length, breadth, and height. Length is 7 into 4 is how much? 7 4s are 28. 5 into 4 is, 5 into 4 is how much? 5 4s are 20. 20. And 6 into 4 is how much? 24. You have length, breadth, and height. What do you need to find? You just need to find the lateral surface area. So lateral surface area formula was what? 2 into L plus B into height. So which is 2 into L here is how much? Length here is 28 plus breadth here is 20 into height here is 24. If you solve this, you have the answer there. So that's how we solve, okay? Are we clear with this? Any doubts you want me to clarify? Clear? Shall I move on to next? Okay, this is the last question from last year's prelims question paper. If you look here, what is asked in this question? The capacity of a cylinder. Always remember, if the question says capacity or how much a bucket can hold or how much a container can hold, always remember that volume is asked. Capacity or how much a bucket, how much water a bucket can hold. In that kind of case, we are asked to find volume there, okay? So first thing first, we know we are asked to find volume. Next, but remember it's a cylindrical. So cylindrical is the, I'll just draw a cylinder here. Cylinder here, if I have a cylinder, and we need to find the volume. Volume formula is what? By R square H. By R square H. What do you need to find? If you want to find volume, you need to find R, you need to find H. Keep that in mind before solving that. So every time before going to statement, first understand what you need to get to the answer, okay? So what we need is, we need radius as well as height. Statement number 1, what does it say? The area of the base is this one. Statement number 1 says area is given as 138612. This is square meter. But if you look here, if this is a cylinder, area of a base is this one, right? The base of a cylinder is always circular in shape. So circle area, what is it? If I flip this one, if I'm to look at the bottom of the cylinder, it will be like this. And this area here, it is given as what? 1,38,600. This is this one. If I flip that, so can I write like this? By R square, it is given as 138600. You look at this. You compare what is required and what is given here. You know by R square, you know, but you don't know this value. So if you don't know this value, you won't be able to find this value. So statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer. What about the next here? Next here says that statement number 2 says the height of the tank is, statement number 2 says the height of the tank is 1.4 times the radius. That means there is a relation between the height and the radius here. Height is 1.4 times the radius. So can I say like this? In this equation, what is unknown? Oh, before that, let me go to statement number 3. Statement number 3, definitely I'm sure using statement number 2, I won't be able to answer. That's for sure. Why? Because statement number 2 says only about the height and the radius relation. Nothing is given there. Just by this two relation, we won't be able to solve. So let us go to statement number 3 there. Statement number 3 is what? Circumference of the base is given as this one. What is circumference? Circumference means this one. Circumference of the base. That means we are talking about base here. So circumference means the outer edge, this one. Circumference of a base. So I'll just write circumference is given as 1320. What's the formula for circumference of a circle? Because the base of a cylinder is circular in shape. Can I say 2 by r, which is equal to 1320. Now let us start our assumption now. We know all the three statements is not sufficient. So if you look at the options here, statement number 1 and 2 only are sufficient. Okay, all the options are combining two equations each. But if you look at this, using this statement number 1, what can you find? There is only one unknown, which is r. So using this one, what you can get is you can get r value. Same thing, using this equation number 3, what you can get is you can get r value here, because you just have only one unknown. You know by value, by 22 by 7. By value is 22 by 7. So you don't know r value. So if you solve this one, you will get r value. If you solve statement number 1 also, you will get r value. That means you just need either this one or this one. You don't need both the statement, but you need either statement number 1 or statement number 3 there. So just by knowing that, you look here. Statement number 2 and either statement number 1 or 3 is sufficient. So because of this, since this two option or these two statements gives us the same result, this one gives me r value, this one gives me r value, same thing only. So either I can use this statement number 1 or 2, but statement number 2 is a must to use. Why? Because of this only I can get the relation between h and r. So let us try to understand in more detail. 3. Using this 3, if I get r value, if I put r value here, then I can get h value. So if I have h value, if I have r value, then we have the answer. That's how we can get the volume of a cylinder there. Are we clear with this? Any doubts? Okay, let's go to next. At least please give a thumbs up here. Next is, it was asking this 3 or 4 questions, like it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. 5 questions was asked in prelims of 2021 NPSC, okay? Let's give it a try. All the questions are reasoning only, and it wasn't me who taught you reasoning, but let me just solve these questions, okay? I feel like your other teachers have also solved some question based on reasoning. I guess he have taken some class, but since we are taking Tata Sufficiency, I'll cover this a little bit here, okay? Are you guys done with this type of question, prelims 2021 question? Are you guys done? If you're done, I won't repeat this one. I'll go to mains. Can you question na ido? Yes, no, you can give a thumbs up or you can type it in. You have done, you haven't done. Is this questions done? PYQ. It's done. Okay. That means you are very sincere at attending the class. Okay, I'll just repeat again. We just have 2 or 3 questions only, and it's reasoning, so no worries. Shall we start with this? Same thing. Read the question. What is asked? How is X related to Y? What does statement number 1 says? Y says I have only one brother. Statement number 1 is Y is saying yeah, I have only one brother. That means Y have only one brother. But we don't know the gender of Y, okay? Y have only one brother. That means using this statement number 1, I won't be able to answer how X and Y is related, because statement number 1 doesn't say anything about what? About X. So how can I say that the empty space here is X? I cannot assume that. Like I've told you, avoid assumption, okay? So statement number 1 is not sufficient. Let's check statement number 2. Statement number 2 says what? X says I have only one sister. X says I have only one sister. Same thing here. Don't do assumption here. We don't have this statement number 2 doesn't say anything about y, so which means I can't put y value here. So statement number 2 alone is also not sufficient. But one thing we can do is we need to combine these two statements. But if check whether if I can combine these two or not. I can combine these two statements only if there is a relation between these two. If there is a relation given between those two. But you look at statement number 1. Statement number 1 is an independent statement. That means here it doesn't say anything about x. Same thing here. Statement number 2 is also an independent statement. Why? Because it doesn't say anything about y. So I cannot combine two independent statements. I can combine these two. So that's the reason why neither one nor two is sufficient to answer this one. Okay, because I cannot combine these two as well because there's no relation given in this question. That's the reason why neither both of them is sufficient to answer. Are we clear with this? Yes. Okay, let's go to next. What is the salary? What is the salary of A? Okay, we are asked to find the salary of A in a group of A, B, C, D, E, whose average salary is this one. Okay, what is given here? In our question, it is given the average salary of how many people? A, B, C, D, E. 5 people is given as 65780. If I want to find the sum of all this salary, sum of 5% salary is how much? Sum we just did. Average is nothing but sum divided by number of people. Sum is nothing but average into the number of people. So I'll just write average is 65780 into how many people? 5 people. So by this I can find sum. That's number 1. But remember, this is A plus B plus C plus D plus E. All this guy's salary is this one. Sum. Okay. Next, let us start with the statement. Statement number 1 says the total salaries of B and C is this one. The total salary. That means this is no average. Okay, this is total salary. Is it visible? Is it too small? So total salary here is given as B and C together. The salary is, what is it? 18545. But remember one thing. Statement number 2, we have this value here using statement number 2, but we don't know this value, we don't know this value. So which means using statement number 1 alone is not sufficient to answer. Let's go to statement number 2. 2 is what? Statement number 2 is about total salary of D and E. D and E salary is given. D and E salary is 59020. Same thing. Here in this question, what is given? D and E salary is given. But remember, if I have D and E salary only, I won't be having this. I don't have this salary, I don't have this salary, I don't have this salary. If I am to consider only statement number 2. So statement number 2 alone is not sufficient. So now the only option here is I need to check for combined value. If I combine these two, what do we have? From statement number 1, I have the value of this one. I have the value of B and C. From statement number 2, I have the value of what? D and E. You look at this question here now. You have B and C. You have B and C value. You have D and E value. And in this equation, what do you have? You have only one unknown, which is A. So using statement number 1 and 2, you can answer this here. So where is the option? Both statement number 1 and 2 together is required to answer. Why? Because 1, we have B and C. 2, we have D and E. If I put this value and this value, if I transfer this one to the other side, I'll get the A salary, which is the answer there. Are we clear with this? Shall we move on to next? Okay. The next question here is, in which year was Rohan born? Okay, Rohan, that means in which year was Rohan born? We are asked to find in which year was Rohan born. So let's start with this. Statement number 1 is, directly go to the statement because nothing is given in the question. Rohan at present is 25 years younger than his mother. Okay. Statement number 1 says Rohan is what? 25 years younger than his mother. So if Rohan's age was X, the mother's age will be how much? Rohan is 25 years younger means Rohan's mother will be 25 years older than Rohan, right? Rohan is X years and Rohan's mother's age is this one. But by using these two ages, I won't be able to answer. Why? Because I just need to find the born year. Which year was Rohan born? So using these two words, I won't be able to find. So statement number 1 alone is not sufficient. Let's check statement number 2. Rohan's brother Rohit was born in 19. So Rohan's brother Rohit, Rohit was born in 1964. This is Rohan's Rohan's brother, okay? And is 35 years younger than his mother. So you look at here. Rohit, this is Rohan's brother, okay? Was born in 1964. But the question says, if Rohit age was Y, then the mother's age will be how much? Mother's age will be 35 years younger than his mother, means the mother's age, I'll just write here, the mother's age will be Y plus 35, because the mother will be 35 years older than Rohit there. But you look here, statement number 2 alone is also not sufficient to answer, because of course we know Rohit, we know mother, but we also find Rohan, and there's no say of Rohan here. So statement number 2 alone is also not sufficient. So shall we eliminate some option? Statement number 1 alone is sufficient, where statement number 2 alone is not sufficient. Even same thing, 2 alone is not sufficient. We are left with two options here. Neither 1 or 2 is sufficient, both 1 and 2. So I'll have to combine and check. So if I combine these two, if Rohit was born on 1964, and her mother is 35 years older, that means I can find her mother's born year. Let us take an example here. If you are born in 2000, and let's say you are, if you're born in 2000, and let's say you are 10 years younger than your so to say mother, or I mean brother, that's better, 10 years younger than your brother. So your brother's born age will be how much? Minus 10. So if you minus 10, you'll get 1990, which will be your brother's born year. So likewise, since Rohit was born in 1964 and the mother is 35 years older, so which means the mother would have been born 35 years ago, right? So if we subtract this one, I'll get the born year of mother. So if we subtract this, let's get the accurate number. 14 minus 5 is how much? 5 and 4, which is 9. And 5 minus 3 is 2, so 1929, if my calculation is not wrong. The mother was born in this one, 1929. And we know that Rohit is X. If Rohit's age was X, then the mother's age will be 25 years more. That means from this one, Rohit was born after 25 years. So from this one, if I plus 25, I'll get the year of Rohit. So that's how we can approach. Both 1 and 2 is required to answer that. Are you following that? Okay. Let's go to the next. The next here is, how many students in a class plays cricket? How many students in a class plays cricket? Okay. How many people plays cricket? That's asked. So what is statement number 1? Only boys plays cricket. Boys is equal to cricket. Only boys plays cricket. That's number 1. So which means, can I answer the question? No, right? Using this statement, I won't be able to answer. What about statement number 2? Let's check statement number 2. Statement number 2 says there are 40 boys and 30 girls. There are 40 boys and 30 girls. Can I say using this statement only, can I answer? No, right? Why? Because I don't know. Of course, I know there is 40 boys and there is 30 girls, but I don't know how many of them are the ones who plays cricket. I don't know. So that's the reason why this alone is not sufficient. Let's eliminate some option. This one is gone. This one is gone. So we'll have to combine and check. Let's combine statement number 1 and 2 and check whether we can get the answer on it. Statement number 1 says only boys plays cricket. Obviously, we know that. from statement number 1. Statement number 2 says there is 40 boys. So can I say that 40 students plays cricket? Because only boys plays cricket and there is 40 boys. So obviously using 1 and 2, I can answer the question here. Oh, either, where is it? Either 1 or 2 is sufficient. Either 1 or 2 is sufficient. So in this case, because of the option here, it will be neither 1 nor 2 is sufficient. Why? Because see, if you look at this term here in this case, what you see is, you see that 1 alone is not sufficient. We know that directly. This option is eliminated. And again, 2 alone is also not sufficient. We can eliminate that. So either 1 or 2 is sufficient. That means either 1 or 2 is not sufficient, because using 1 alone I won't be able to answer, and using 2 alone is also, we won't be able to answer. This is not possible. So the only possible option here, it is D there. Even though we know that using statement number 1 and 2, by using this 2, I can get to the answer, but that option is not here. So that's the reason why neither 1 nor 2 is sufficient to get the answer there. Are we clear with this? So in exam, don't go for this option, okay? Let's go to the next one. I hope this is the last question from that year. The question here is, who among the 5 friends A, B, C, D is the tallest? Okay, we are also find who is the tallest. Statement number 1, let us check. Statement number 1 says, what is it? B is only taller than D. So shall I write like this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. D is only taller than, that means B is only taller than D, means B is the second tallest, second shortest. B is only taller than D, so which means B is the second shortest here, okay? Because after B, there is only D there, who is shorter than B, okay? That's what it means. So using statement number 1, can I say who's the tallest? No, right? So statement number 1 is not allowed, is not sufficient. Let us check for statement number 2. 2 says what? A is shorter than E. A is shorter than E. That means E is taller than A. But A is shorter than E, but taller than C. That means, but means this one. We are talking about A there, okay? A is shorter than E. That's what it says, and but A is taller than E. So we have statement number but A is taller than C. We have this statement here. Now what I can say is, using this statement 2 alone is also not sufficient to answer, because I have this one, but I don't know whether the people will be blessed here, or the remaining 2 people will be blessed here or here. We don't know. That's the reason why 2 alone is also not sufficient. Let us check for the third one. B is not the shortest. B is not the shortest. So statement number 3 says, 1, 2, 3. 3 says B is not the shortest. What do we mean by that? In this place, B will not belong. So statement number 3 here is also not sufficient to answer. Let's start with some option elimination here. 2 alone is not sufficient. That's not a problem there. I'll have to eliminate it directly. But we have statement 1 and 2 together are sufficient. So if you use statement number 1 and 2, is it sufficient? Why? Because if I put here, if I combine this two, I can put E here, I can put A here, I can put C here, and this one, if I combine these two, I can get the value here. Because see, these 2 slots is being filled by statement number 1. So we have only 3 slots left, and these 3 slots can be filled by this procedure only, or by applying this rule only. So by using 1 and 2, we have the answer there. So just by solving option number B, we have the answer. We don't need to go further. So that's a clear-cut answer there. Are we clear with that? Any doubts you want me to clarify? Clear? Okay, let's go to men's question. I hope we are coming to an end. 1, 2, 3. we are just left with 3 questions. We'll finish that. Okay, these are the questions that was asked in the mains this year's exam. Okay, so let me just maximize a little bit here. So to say, it was also not that hard. It was mostly based on reasoning. So for us as a Naga, reasoning is easy. So let's give it a try. These are the options here. Okay, so in this case, let us start with this. F and M are father and mother. So F and M are father and mother. So F respectively. Okay, F is a father and M is the mother. I am writing double line here because they are married couple there. Next statement. Because of this statement, I've written that. Next statement. S, who has 4 uncles and 3 aunts. Okay. F and M are the father and mother respectively of S. That means these two are the parent of S. Parent of S. S has 4 uncles and 3 aunts. S has how much? 4 uncle and 3 aunts. So I can insert here 4 uncles. I don't know where I can insert 4 uncles and 4 aunts there. So what I'll do is I'll just keep this one aside for once. Okay. F has 2 siblings. Okay, I'm getting a tips here. F has 2 siblings. But remember, I don't know the gender of these two. The 2 siblings that F has, I don't know the gender of these two. But I know that F has 2 siblings. That means total here is how much? S has 4 uncles and 3 aunts. That means there is a total of 7 people. 2 people are being filled here. That means M has how many siblings now? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 can be filled here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Since F has 2 siblings, this 2 slot will be filled. So out of this 7, the remaining 5 spaces will be here. Okay. So that's what the question says. Let us go to the next part. What is given now? F has 2 siblings. Yeah, that's done. The siblings of F and M are unmarried. Okay, there's a clear cut there. There's no married couple within the siblings. How many brother does M have? That means we are asked to find among these people, among the siblings, how many boys are how many males are there? That will be the brother there. Let us go to statement number 1. Statement number 1 says what? 1 says F has 2 brothers. That means statement number 1 is clear cut that F has 2 brothers. This will be filled by brother. This will be filled by brother. So out of these 4 uncles, 2 has been inserted here. So how many will be left? There will be 2 uncles there. Because there was 4 uncles, and within among those 4, 2 went to F. So which means there will be 2 left, which will be filled here. And now, according to the statement number 1, this is our drawing here. According to the statement number 1, we have F has 2 brothers and M will have 2 brothers, because we are clear cut now. So using statement number 1 alone, we can answer this. So let us try to eliminate something here before going to statement number 2. If the question can be answered by either one of the statement alone, but not by either one of the statement alone, or we can go to statement number 2 and check, get back to the statement there. Let me put one more slide here. Okay, statement number 2 is what? F has 5 siblings. M has 5 siblings. So M has 5 siblings. So we don't need this statement here. Okay, we don't need this statement here, because from the question itself we know that M has 5 siblings. Why? Because of this statement here, F has 2 siblings. Because of this, given in the question, we can say that M has 5 siblings there. So we don't need this statement number 2 at all. So we just need statement number 1 to answer. So what are if the question cannot be answered even by using statement number 2, this one, so this option is eliminated. If the question can be answered by using both the statement together, no, this option is eliminated. If the question can be answered by using either statement alone, so this either statement alone, any one of them, or what does the statement number A says? If the question can be answered by either one of the statement alone, but not by the other. Okay, so B says can be answered using either statement. That means either by using statement number 1 or 2, we can answer. No, this is not the answer there, because by using statement number 2, we cannot answer this question. But the option here is A. Why? Because we can answer either one by using either one of the statement alone, but not the other. That means the other statement, using the other statement, we won't be able to answer that what it means. Okay, clear with this? Any thoughts you want to clarify? Clear? Okay, let's move on to next. The next question here is a cam of, let me maximize a little bit here. A game consists of tossing coins successively. That means we are tossing coin one after the other. There is an entry fee of 10 rupees. That means there is a fixed charge of 10 rupees. And an additional fee of 1 rupee for each toss of the coin. Okay. If you are tossing only one, if you are tossing the coin only once, that means you are spending 1 rupee there. So you are spending how much? 11 rupees there. But let's say you are 10 rupees is a fixed registration, okay? And if you are tossing coins 2 times, okay, per toss it is 1 rupees. So which means you are spending how much? 12 rupees there. So 10 rupees plus you are tossing 2 times, so which means 12 rupees was spent there. So that's what the question means, okay? So now per toss it is, I mean, if you toss the coin once, there is a charge of 1. So from the fixed charge, this is fixed, there is a charge of 1 rupee. What is the game here? Game is considered to have ended normally when the coin turns head. 2 consecutive throw. Okay. Let's say you are getting head, tail, head, tail, head, head. So the game will end normally, okay? That means you will win the game if you get head 2 times. That's what the question says, okay? The game is considered to have ended normally. That simply means that you have won the game. When the coin turns head 2 consecutive throw, that means if you get 2 consecutive heads like that. But the next part, in this case, the player is paid 100 rupees. That means if you are getting 2 times head here, you are winning the game, and the winning price here is how much? 100 rupees. That's a winning price, okay? The winning price here is 100 rupees. Alternatively, that means if you don't win, that's the other case. The player can choose to terminate the game prematurely after any of the tosses. That means, let's say you are tossing this coin again and again without getting the answer, or without getting head. You are getting tail, tail, head, tail, head, tail, head, and so on. But you are not getting head, head. In that case, what you will do is you can stop anytime, okay? But you'll have to pay the charge there. After tossing this much number of time, if you stop, if you want to just withdraw from the camp, then in that case you will have to pay how many rupees? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There was 10 times toss. That means the registration fee was 10 rupees plus the toss charge was 10 rupees. So which means you will have to pay 20 rupees. And you are at a loss of how much? 20 rupees there, because your registration fee was 10 rupees and you are tossing the coins 10 times. That means you have lost 20 rupees there, okay? I'm just explaining the cam here. After that, what is asked here? That's not the question what is asked. So we are just understanding the question as of now. The question says, RAM has occurred a loss of 50 by playing this game. That means RAM is at a loss. RAM is at a loss of 50 rupees. RAM is at a loss of 50 rupees. RAM is at a loss of 50 rupees. That's what the question says. How many times did he toss? That means we have to find how many times Ram tossed the coin. Ram tossed the coin, okay? So let's check statement wise. One says what? Game ended normally. So game ended normally means what? If the game ended normally, what will be the case there? Ram will get how many rupees? If the game ended normally, Ram will get 100 rupees as a winning prize. But the question says Ram was at the loss of how much? Ram was at the loss of 50 rupees. This is the question here, okay? I'll just make a box here. This is what is given in the question. So now, Ram, because of the statement number 1, the question says the game ended normally. Game ended normally means Ram won the game. That's what it means. But even though Ram won the game, Ram occurred a loss. That's what the question says. So Ram won 100 rupees, but still at a loss of 150. That means, can I write like this? Ram spent how many rupees? Ram spent 100 rupees plus 50 rupees. Even after getting a price of 100 rupees, Ram is at a loss of 50 rupees. That means Ram spending was how much rupees? 150 rupees. Ram's spending was 150 rupees. So if Ram's spending was 150 rupees, can I break this Ram spending into two parts? We know there is two things. One is registration fee, which is 10 rupees, and the remaining is, we call that as the number of toss. Per toss, every toss, how much is it? The charge is there. So from this 150, that Ram has spent, 10 rupees was for registration. That means Ram played the game for 140 times. So by using statement number 1 alone, I'm able to answer there. So 1 alone is also sufficient to answer there. But shall we check for 2? But before going to 2, are we able to understand this? Because it is not a question where we have any formula, just an understanding type of question only. Now the next is statement number 2. The total number of deals obtained in the game was 130. So you look at this, just by reading statement number 2, I can say that total number of deals obtained in the game was this one. So I don't need this statement at all. So can I say like this? Using the option here is the same options that we have selected. Using 1 alone and this one alone, we won't be able to solve. Okay. Why? Because in statement number 2, it doesn't say anything about the game here. How did Ram won the game? Whether by winning the game or by terminating the game. So because of those two statements, it's unclear. That's the reason why statement number 1 alone is sufficient to answer, and the 2 is not sufficient to answer there. Okay. So let us go to next question then, which is the last question for tonight. I hope, yes. So the question here is, what is it? Oh, each packet of soap cost 10 rupees. Okay. The cost here is 10 rupees. Yeah. 10 rupees. Inside each packet is a gift coupon labeled with one of the letter S, O, A, and P. Okay. If the customer submits at least 4 such coupons that makes up the word soap, he gets a free packet of soap. Okay. The question says like this. The first part of the question is this way. There is a soap box, and inside that soap box, every soap box will have a letter, either S, O, A, or B. Any of these 3 letters. It may be S, it may be O, it may be A, and it may be B. Any of these 3 letters, okay? But if any of the customers collect this this 4 letter and submit it to the shopkeeper, then they are getting 1 soap free. Okay, They are getting one soap, another soap here. Okay, that's what the question says. He gets a free packet of soap. That means one free. Next is X kept buying packet after packet of soap until, okay, X kept buying packet after packet of soap until she had at least one coupon each for the four letters that form the word soap. How many coupons with the label B did he get from the above process? Okay, Mr. X started buying the soap because there is a gift there. So Mr. X started to buy the soap, but what he did was he keep on buying, but it keeps on repeating some letters, getting P, getting A, sometimes getting not getting to a conclusion of, not getting to a set of S, O, A, B. That means he may have this one, he may have this one, he may have this one, but he's not getting one of the letter. That's the reason why he keeps on buying. Okay, if he have a set, then he can end there. So that's what the question says. So we are asked to find how many coupons did, so how many P was there in Mr. X collection, that is asked. How many P did he get from the above process? That means how much collections of P was there in the hand of Mr. X. So let's start with statement number 1. What does it say? The last packet that she bought contained S only. Okay. The last bucket is nothing but S. The last packet is S. So which means Mr. X has a lot of letters. O, there may be O, there may be A, and there may be lots of A, there may be lots of B, and there may be lots of like this. But there was no S there. Right after getting S, he is getting a gift box because with this S, we are completing the gift coupon there, which is SOAB. So because he is getting S there, he stops there. Okay, right after getting the gift coupon. So which means if the last letter is S, that means Mr. X was in short of the letter S there in his collection. So there is only one S letter there, and the total amount spent by her is 210. Total amount spent is nothing but 210. Total amount spent by Mr. X is nothing but, where's Mr. It's a very mixed up question here. We have Mr. here and we have her here, I don't know, and we have he here. There's some gender problem with this question, I guess. So total spending was 210. So what we can tell from this one is that Mr. X bought how many soap? Per soap cost is how much? 10 rupees, right? So if Mr. X is spending 210 rupees, per soap price was how much? 10 rupees. That means Mr. X bought 21 soaps there. It's like this. If you don't understand with this, let's say you went to a shop to buy chocolates. By 50 rupees, let's say you buy 50, the price of a chocolate is 5 rupees. And you are getting 50 rupees. How much pieces of chocolate will you get? This 50, if I divide by 5, then I'll get 20. I'll get 20 pieces of chocolate there. The total amount here was 50, and I'm using per chocolate price is how much? 5. So this total price, if I divide by the per price, it will give me the number of chocolates that I've bought. So same thing here. Total spending was 210, but the per soap packet, the cost is then there. So this 210, this total spending, if I divide it by per cost, then I'll get the number of soap that was bought by Mr. X. So total number, or number of soap. So the total number of soap here is what? 21. But will I be able to answer using this statement number 1? No, right? Because I don't have any idea about P here. So statement number 1 alone is not able to, we are not able to answer here. Let's go to statement number 2. Statement number 2 says what? 2 says the total number of vowels obtained was 18. So O, A together makes how much? 18. Because we just have 2 vowels there. So the vowels together, we are getting 18 there. So even this one, 2 alone is also not sufficient. So let us combine now. If 1 is not sufficient and 2 is not sufficient, then we'll have to combine and check. So if we combine these two, statement number 1 says what? Statement number 1 says there is a total number of 21 SOP, 21, and there is a vowels of how much? This one. So out of this 21, the last SOP contain what? S, right? That means I'll remove that. So which will get 20 there. So within this 20, 20 will be a collection of O, A, B only. Why? Because this one here is nothing but S. The last letter that we got was S. So that's the reason why I'm removing this one here, which was the letter S there. And if I remove one, I'm getting 20 there. From 21, if I remove one, I'm getting 20. Within this 20 are the letters of O, A, and B. And we know O and B makes a total of how much? 18. So if O and B makes a total of 18, within this 20, if I remove O and A, which is 18, I'm getting 2 there. There are 2 pieces of B there. So that's the answer there. So using statement number 1 and 2, we have the answer. Are we okay with this? Yeah, that's all. That is data sufficiency. Anything you want to clarify? If you want to clarify something, I'll clarify that.